Okay. I wonder if the type 1 in the chat if you guys can hear me because I was having some technical difficulties on my phone, so I had to go over to the laptop, or I could just pull up on YouTube if you guys can hear me. I almost just ruined your eardrums there. Pull it up here. Okay. Seems like you guys can hear me. I hope you guys are doing well. Sorry if the quality of the camera is not as good because again, I was having technical difficulties when it came to my camera phone here, but it seems like everything's good enough though. Like we're gonna be focusing on the video. This is more of a watch along. I've never done this type of live stream before, but RJ Barrett went on one of the most famous podcasts out there. He brings on NBA players, just influencers. It's not always just professional athletes, and Redick interviews them, and we usually it's not like what you see out of RJ Barrett when it comes to like just any press conference or same thing with Julius Randle. Like it's more relaxed and laid back. It just seems like they're just having any regular conversation, like at their house or something like that. But yo, what's going on, Ashley? How you doing? You are the man. No, that's all you. Um, I really appreciate you being here. So when should I start this up? When should I start the reaction? We have 4 people in here, but I'm not sure when I should actually start it. Just let me know in the chat. Um, yeah, we got people in here. They're just not typing. So I guess I should just hop into the reaction. I don't know. I'll just hop into it. All right, let's wait a few minutes. So, yeah, you can go ahead and ask some questions before we start the reaction or live stream. Yeah, I don't usually do reactions like this, so like might be kind of weird right now. The layout and everything. But I actually did upgrade StreamYard. I did upgrade StreamYard. Once again, I was like, gotta bring some better quality for you guys, but I apologize. The camera quality is probably not the best right now because I'm doing it off the laptop and the my phone camera. Just some weird echo thing was going on. So I really do apologize about that. Wait, let me put on the screen like credit goes to JJ Redick and stuff so I don't get in trouble, you know? Let me mute myself so you don't hear annoying typing. Yo, what's going on, Peter? I apologize. I muted myself. I didn't want you guys to hear my annoying typing. Peter says I could have watched it by myself, but I'd rather watch it with live with you. Well, I really do appreciate that. I really do. Thank you for being here, man. We got my man Kareem in the house. Kareem's a great supporter. I feel like he's been with the channel for a long time. He's always supporting Knicks content creators and obviously the Knicks in general. I love his insight. He says, "What's good, Noah? Happy Friday. Happy Friday to all you guys." Again, I appreciate you guys being here. I could have watched this video. My friend, my boy MH actually sent me a link like that the podcast was out. I could have just sat and watched it in my bed, but I was like, no, I gotta stick to the live streams. Live stream. I gotta stick to that. What's going on? We got Mark Jackson, the coach is in the chat, or former coach. A lot of people want you to be your coach, Mark. But what's going on, Mark Jackson? I hope you're doing well. I guess we'll go live a couple more minutes and then start it up. It all comes down to you guys. What do the viewers want? What do the viewers want? But it seems like we still have some people tuning in. We got like 8 in here as of right now, 3 minutes in. 3 minutes in. But what have your guys' thoughts been on the NBA playoffs so far? Do you guys think the Warriors are legit? Like, it's not fair that they have Jordan Poole now who's absolutely killing it. The Sixers, Joel Embiid hitting that shot. They're potentially going to sweep the Raptors. the Milwaukee Bucks, Chris Middleton going down with an MCL injury. So can the Bulls upset? They tied up that series. Devin Booker out a few weeks with that hamstring strain. So who knows? They may lose to the Pelicans. You never know. Chris Paul's gonna have to step up huge. But the playoffs, I've liked them so far. I really have. This is my boy MH right here. I was just talking about you, MH. I was saying I could have just watched the podcast in my bed, but I was like, I'm gonna watch it with you guys. Like, this is what it's all about right here, my man Peter. But I apologize, the camera quality may not be the best because I'm doing it off of a laptop this time. It just runs smoother. And yeah, just the setup looks better because I did an update on StreamYard. Yeah, I'm gonna be watching the whole video with you guys. I have not watched this yet. I've not watched this yet. But I know some people are gonna tune in, tune out. Like 46 minutes is a while. But RJ talked about improving his game. Knicks fans versus Trae Young. That should be entertaining. Game winners. Probably gonna talk about his and just in general, like Joel Embiid, Tatum in the playoffs. But the whole video is right. But yeah, just let me know when I'm all good to start it. Kareem says the playoffs looking like a soap opera right now. I'm locked in. Yeah, it really is. Maybe when we get to like that 6 minute mark, we're at 4:49 right now. But if you're just tuning in, smash the like button. And if you're new, be free to click that subscribe button as well if you'd like. Got more Knicks content coming for y'all. I appreciate you, Mark. I appreciate you. Let's go Knicks, all you guys. Let's go Knicks. But let's start it up because obviously people could always like rewatch it, like on JJ Redick's channel and all that. This is just if you want to see my stupid reaction. Wait, let's see this one more comment. With the new data on Brunson, if you're a GM knowing Tibbs is staying, what would you do and be happy with as a season result next year? Oh, gosh. I'll be real. If Randall's gone, I'm not expecting playoffs because I feel like then we're going into the youth movement of developing guys. But I hate to sound like a broken record. You still want to see progression of young guys. I still don't think we're ready to compete for anything huge, you know? So I'd like to see progression of young guys. Obviously, RJ playing like an all-star level player for a whole season. I wouldn't mind Brunson. Obviously, we would have to do a sign and trade, and we would have to dump a lot of contracts because we're going to be under the books. But here's a test. I'm going to play the video for 2 seconds, and you tell me if you hear the video.
For joining us, we appreciate it. Shout out to the Brotherhood.
Do you guys hear it? Hopefully, you guys hear it. That's just a little test. Actually, I can always check on my phone if you guys heard it. Yeah, you guys hear it. You guys hear it. We're all good. We're all Gucci. We're all Gucci, as my man Rover Sports says. All right. Let's get it, y'all. I'll be reading the chat on my phone.
By the way, Tommy, shout out to the Brotherhood.
Here we go. Sir, yes, sir.
Just get it out of the way now.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. How often, though, when you go out for warm-ups in a game and you see a Duke player, is it pretty much and he's on a different team, is it pretty much 100% of the time that there's at least some sort of acknowledgement, a dap, a handshake, a hug, something along those lines, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially now, because I feel like the age that I am, like I know some of the, I know most of the older guys. So like, I have like friendships with them and stuff. So it's always love for sure.
I love that. Let's start with the playoffs. I want to touch on the Nets Celtics.
We could just tell RJ was not prepared for this interview at all. You could tell he did it last second. He has to keep adjusting his volume. My man RJ, you gotta be more prepared out there. Gotta be more prepared. But yeah, he's obviously doing this on his phone. He got his AirPods in. Are those AirPod Pros? I'm not sure.
Series. This has been one of the most competitive. I love that. Let's start with the playoffs. I want to touch on the Nets Celtics series. This has been one of the most competitive first round series that we've had. Obviously, Boston's up 2-0, but both games were just fantastic playoff basketball games. Is this, you're a basketball fan, you, I assume, grew up watching Kevin Durant. Is this the most out of sorts you've ever seen him? Because for me, it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. His shots weren't falling, but I was talking to somebody earlier about it. Like, he went 4 for 17 and still had 27 points. I mean, that's like, and then for us to say someone got shut down and had 27 on 17 shots, I mean,
that is wild. Like 4 for 17, still got 27 points. Like, he still found a way to score.
He's still pretty amazing.
RJ, speaking as someone who's played well against this defense this year, how do you play this Boston D the way that they switch and just with the length and everything like that?
Yeah, no, they're tough, especially when they had Robert Williams in there. Man, he's a big game changer too. They switch, really. They switch everything, and all of them are just aggressive. All of them are aggressive, and really Marcus Smart kind of leads the charge there. So, no, they're pretty good.
My observation in terms of Kevin and what I've seen this series is, like any offensive player, you want to be in your comfort zone. You want to be in a rhythm. You want to play at your own speed. And it hasn't mattered whether he's on the ball, bringing it up the court, or at the top of the key, getting ready to go in a pick and roll. Or like last night, a bunch, they tried to ISO him at the elbow in that 17 to 18-foot area. And the initial defender is just giving him no room. Derek White switched onto him multiple times last night, and he had no airspace whatsoever. And then if you look at the back line, there's always a second or third, sometimes a third defender ready to come. And I don't know if it's advantageous to keep putting him in these spots. Like, they kept talking about on the broadcast last night, movement. And so for you, when you've gone against a defense like Boston, or you've gone against another great half-court defensive team, can you just sort of talk about like the different ways that you think about getting into your spots through movement?
I'm really excited to see RJ's answer to this question, because we know, like, we've seen the progression since the rookie year, getting to his spots. Obviously, we'd like to see him knock down his shots efficiently, like at a higher clip, and finish better at the basket. But I'm interested to see his answer here.
Sure, what you said, that's the key word, is movement. Because right now, as you know, in the playoffs, like, a team like Boston is going to look better just because the refs aren't calling as many fouls. And, something I've heard before is, if all 5 players are fouling, the refs can't call all of them. So like, every time he tries to catch the ball, they're hitting them, they're fouling them, and but like you said, movement, just gotta try to get off it and try to get them some easy buckets.
Did you? And obviously, Atlanta last year was a very different.
Here we go, Atlanta.
Defensive team than Boston is this year, but the defense always ramps up a little bit. What did you sort of experience, or what did you feel or sense going against a playoff defense last year in the first round?
What I learned, the biggest part was how important the mid-range is, for a player like me. Coming off the screen, they try to just funnel me into Clint Capella every time. So trying to go up against a footer every time down there is tough, So that's why you see in the playoffs all the guys that are making those mid-range shots, they look way better.
I was curious this, with young players, it's different for all of them, but what was the learning curve like for you in that series in terms of like when you sort of started to feel comfortable? Like, did it take a game, 2 games? Like, how long before you're like, oh no, I kind of realized the difference in the pace?
Yeah, I think the first 2 games, I mean, you see the pace immediately. Just the energy was, it was crazy. But to figure it out, I really feel like game 3, game 4, I started to get a little more comfortable. because the first two games is literally just all emotion. Sometimes you're not even thinking, like you're just going out there and just playing hard. So I kind of settled down in those game 3, game 4, game 5.
Some of it.
And no one really talks about it. Like, yeah, like we just expect these players to be locked in all the time. They're professionals. But this man was a 20-year-old as a second option or one of the top options and a damn playoff series as a 4th seed. A 20-year-old. He can't even drink yet. He's still maturing into his body, still growing into his body. Like, there's going to be those, like, I'm in the freaking playoffs, like, at MSG. Like, that's just wild.
My experience, at least, was, especially early on in my career, if we started to play at the playoffs as the higher seed, there's so much energy from the home crowd that you feel so sped up. And as an NBA player, at some point during the season, it's just a flow. It's a rhythm. Everything feels the same night to night.
Gotta get that money, I guess.
What is outplay? You play and it records. You can choose exactly what you want it to record, whether it be kills, assists.
And
all right, get that bag, JJ. But we're gonna have to rewind that because I don't remember what you said now. Gotta get that bread.
As an NBA player, at some point during the season, it's just a flow. It's a rhythm. Everything feels the same night to night, and you're not thinking. It slows down. And then all of a sudden you get into the playoffs, and that first game's at home. It's just a different experience. I always liked playing road playoff games. I know this sounds crazy. It felt quieter to me. My brain felt quieter. My body was more in tune. Did you feel that at all last year? I know you mentioned game 3. That's a road game in Atlanta. Did you feel that?
100%. Like, man, that first game, like the first 2, like the energy in the building was just like off the charts to the point where, like you said, everything just so sped up. Like it's harder to think because you have so much adrenaline, like you're so excited. And then on the road games, like whenever a team is like whenever the opposing fans are like talking trash and you don't really have, it's just you and your team, like it's way easier to think. Like I don't know, it's kind of like it's quiet. Like you score, it's quiet. Your teammates make a play, it's quiet. It's like like okay, let's play basketball instead of especially in the Garden, man. It was insane.
I was going to ask how quickly after the Knicks fans started rioting after that win did you realize what was going on?
Bro, like
oh, after getting that win in game 2, oh my god!
After we won game 2, like, it really felt like okay, we're just gonna win the series. Like we're gonna win the whole series now because we won game 2. Like just the energy in the city, man. It's just they were in the streets going crazy. Like that. The fans are nuts.
How much in that series were you paying attention to the narrative around Trey, the villain? Because so much was made of that on the broadcasts, in the media the next day, whether you're watching ESPN or on social media. That was such a huge deal for him to go through that. But as a player and amongst your teammates, the Knicks coaching staff, like, were you guys paying attention at all that?
I mean, it's hard not to. But like the fans in the Garden were brutal, towards him. So I feel like my respect level for him grew after, how well he played. Like, as a player, he's special. But just not like the fans are brutal. It's like New York and Philly are just 2 places where, it's not really fun for you if you want to go play in there if you're not like mentally strong. Like it's gonna be those 2 places are gonna be tough.
Have you had a Philly experience with the fans? Have you had that
experience? Oh man, just like my family members is more like they'll be in the crowd and they're like getting back and forth with other people in the crowd and stuff like man, every time they announce the starting lineup they go You suck. Like, it's crazy in Philly, man. It's one of the most fun places to play for me.
Yeah, it was a fun place to play for me as well, except when they booed me. That was the only
Well, I was going to ask you, what was the playoff? Which game was the Nets series where you guys got booed off the court?
I specifically got booed off the court.
Is that game one?
I want to be clear on that. RJ, we played the Nets my second year.
I remember so many people thought the Sixers were going to lose that series after the Nets taking game one. I like that Nets team, though, with like Jared Allen, D'Angelo Russell. This was before they got Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Just a lot of Sixers fans were overreacting because they lost at home. D'Angelo Russell ended up going on like this huge run, or the Nets as a whole. That was a fun team to watch, though, with like Dinwiddie and stuff. But yeah, Dinwiddie's balling in Dallas, though, so props to him.
You're there in the first round. We beat them 4-1, by the way. And I ended up, after game one, had a good series. But in game one, I fouled out. I think I had 7 points on like 2 of 7 shooting. It was just like one of those games where I was not really involved other than to get ISO'd and foul people. Like that was basically my game. They kept ISOing me and I kept fouling. And D'Angelo got me. He baited me into a foul and he waved me off the court. And as I was walking back to the bench, they booed me. And I don't know if that was the time I flipped off a 76ers fan, but I talked about this the other day with Kyrie when he flipped off the fans. Like I did that one time in Philly, but to the home crowd.
That's funny. Yeah, no, they'll boo you, man. We got booed countless times in the Garden, so I feel you.
Yeah, I mean it's if you can play. I always say if you can play in the Northeast, if you can play in Boston and Philly and New York, not Brooklyn, but the New York Knicks, you can play for those.
JJ just threw shots. Not Brooklyn, but the New York. He even knows they don't have a lot of fans. He even knows. Which rewind.
And Philly and New York, not Brooklyn, but the New York Knicks. You can play for those teams. You can play anywhere. There's nothing like playing for those teams.
I have one more question on this, RJ. Before you were drafted, and we're going to get into the draft story and everything like that, did you know this about Knicks fans, about how just fucking crazy they are? Because it really is next level. You can make an argument they're the best fans in all of sports when you look at how dedicated they are versus, what they've been given over the last 25, 30 years.
Bro, I really had no clue. I really had no clue. Like, just, I'm from Canada, so I don't really, like, there was no way for me to really get that experience. And then all you've ever heard about, like, the Knicks, all they show on social media is, like, how bad they were, like, past couple of years and all that. So then when you get to the city now and you're here and you're playing, I'm like, this is, like, it's all over the place. There's Knicks fans everywhere, no matter where you go, like, just the love. And what I found out is just across the world. Like, you go anywhere in the world, like, we're in Orlando, and it's like a home game. Like, yeah, man. So the fans,
Yeah, that game was pretty fun. I know the season was over, but this was the game. This is where Knicks fans are so special. The season's over, not making the playoffs, but you quickly have a triple-double. Obi, he had like a 20-point game. RJ had nearly 30, and like there was more Knicks fans than Magic fans. Like we started a whole RJ chant, Obi chant. Like that just shows our fans right there.
It's nuts.
We talked in the intro about Joel Embiid's shot last night, and we've spoken about Knicks fans, and we've talked about the Boston defense. So I think this is the perfect time to talk about your game winner on January 6th against the Celtics.
The one I shit on RJ about, or I shit on Randall. I was like, there's no freaking clutch players on this team. No one's hitting this shit. And then RJ just freaking shut me up. RJ shut me up. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I thought we were gonna go to Randall, or I just thought because we haven't had a game-winning buzzer beater since, like, what was it, 2012, J.R. Smith? I'm not gonna lie. He freaking shut me up. And I'm glad he shut me up. I'm glad.
So you banked it in, going the wrong way with Jason Tatum on the side of your shooting hand. And we saw him last night block Kevin Durant. Take us through that play. Because I know for a fact when you released that ball, you thought that ball there was no way that shot was going in.
Man, something had to go in that night. Terrible game. But the funny part is I didn't even really know the play. Like, I thought I was out. I didn't know I was in the game. Like, so I didn't even pay attention to the play. I was at the end of the bench, like, not paying attention. And then 4 guys went out there and they yelled at me like, "Yo, RJ, you're on." I'm like, "What?" So I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then like I came to the ball, and then I think Jason's contest actually helped me make the shot because I had to shoot it higher. But yeah, I didn't even see it go in. I just fell trying to get fouled, honestly. And yeah, it went in. So I started talking trash after. I just started talking crazy after.
Wait, so
he didn't even know he was in the game. He didn't know the play. Like, if you guys remember, he got blocked like a million times that game. He was playing bad. He didn't even know the shot went in. He had Tatum all up on him. He banked. That's just funny, man. It went in, though. It went in.
Oh, does Tibbs know that? Tibbs knows that you were not paying attention to the huddle? And did you guys talk about it afterwards?
We did it like we were kind of doing like an offense defense thing, and then I didn't know I was still in the game, so I just kind of went out there. I mean, thank God it worked out.
That's an amazing story. Yeah, the angle at which you shot, and because again, like if I'm on the other side, we were talking about it earlier. I was always a left shoulder player. Everything going over my left shoulder to my right hand. For me, at 6'4" with a negative wingspan, I wouldn't even have been able to get the shot off. Period. So it's a remarkable thing. That moment in the Garden, to experience that euphoria. Did you sort of black out? Do you remember anything? Was there a specific thing you remember about that moment once that shot went in?
I remember Julius was there. I was on the ground, and Julius is so strong. He just lifted me up. So then I was on my feet, and I think the picture of like me in the middle and all my teammates surrounding me, like I'm gonna get that frame. It was just a crazy moment. Like
let's say you win the first game of your parlay.
You gotta get that bag.
Sure about bet number 2.
Hey, come on, man.
You gotta get that bag.
Let's get out while it's still good.
the whole arena was loud, and just definitely a special moment.
I did hear you guys. The first game I did for ESPN this year as a color commentator was your game in Philly. It was James Harden's first home game, and I didn't know this, but apparently you have time with the head coaches beforehand, which I thought was pretty cool. So I went and talked to Doc for
what he say?
James Harden's first home game, and I didn't know this, but apparently you have time with the head coaches beforehand, which I thought was pretty cool. So I went and talked to Doc for a little bit on my own. Then we met with Doc, and then we went and met with Tibbs, and we had about 10 minutes with Tibbs, and we're asking him questions, and it's Tibbs being Tibbs. He's very monotone, very deep voice. He's giving us his horrible answers, and I can't
giving us horrible answers.
Very deep voice. He's giving us his horrible answers, and I can't remember my exact question, but I asked about you. It was the last question we all got to ask, and I asked about you, and all of a sudden, his facial expression changed, his body language changed, and he sung your praises. He was very high on you, and he's been often regarded as a difficult coach at times to play for. Can you just talk about your relationship with him over the last few seasons?
Here we go. We may get the basic, just professional answer, but let's see what he says.
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned that because that's my guy. I was actually talking to him yesterday in the facility. He's really my guy, man, and he's a great coach. I feel people have tough time with him just because he expects excellence. He expects you to be in there and work every day. He's not really with when people are like, I need a couple games off, or I don't feel like practicing today. Like he's not. You can't play for Tibbs if that's your mindset. So a guy like me, I lace him up really no matter what's going on. I'm out there, every day. So we kind of built that relationship. Tibbs he's a good coach.
You see any similarity? I didn't play for Tibbs. I nearly came close twice. Once I signed with the Bulls when he got the job with Chicago in an Orlando match because I was restricted, and I almost signed again with Minnesota in the summer of 2017. So I didn't play for him. But do Have you found any similarities between him and Coach K?
Yes, I would say they're similar. One, they're friends, and I didn't know that until like he came to the Knicks. I didn't know that they were friends, but they're actually close. But he's very disciplined. Very disciplined, which is Coach K is like that too, you know. And he lets you play. He lets you be yourself. He's not like just.
We all know that's cat. Obi could expose Tibbs' ass. He does not let Obi play. He does not let him play his game.
On you too much about like everything. He gives you the freedom to kind of go and be yourself. He really wants you to succeed. So that's how I see that Coach K and him are similar just in that regard. They let you be you. They let you be you. They just want you to work hard. That's it.
Arjun, we talk with a lot of the young guys about just their adjustment coming into the league, you know, on and off the court, mentally, just sort of getting themselves kind of ready for the difference between the NBA and college. Do you think, to that point, I was going to ask about Coach as well, do you think that you know, the playing at Duke is almost like playing in the NBA in a lot of ways, and so do you feel like that just sets you up to be in a place where there wasn't as much of a learning curve, you know, with everything that comes into both being in the NBA and then also being in the NBA as the number 3 overall pick for the Knicks, you know, with that kind of pressure?
And you know, Coach K, he treats you like a pro. When you go there, he treats you like a pro. He treats you like a grown man. One thing I've always loved about him, and just I feel like our team, like just that spotlight that we had that year, you know, kind of sets you up for playing, playing for the Knicks. Like just being able to go through that, especially with Zion, Trey, and Cam, like other, great players, like that was kind of set you up. Also, coming into the league, you're playing with other good players. So going there helps you to learn how to figure out how to play with another guy on the team, another 2 guys on your team, and you can still be successful.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point.
So that's how he still managed to get numbers even with Julius Randle. No, I'm trolling, but obviously that's a hard adjustment period when you're the number 1 player in high school, which RJ was. Then you go to college. You're one of the top guys, but there's still other guys that are going to have to touch the ball, like Cam, Trey, and Zion. So there is that adjustment period of learning to play without the ball, and you have to. I'm not saying RJ didn't get others involved in high school, but you're not always going to be the main guy. You're not always going to be that guy.
I'm very curious about your recruiting story. How you ended up in Duke. Did Shire recruit you, or did Nolan Smith recruit you?
So Capel recruited me. Capel, he was there, and then after I committed, he left a week or 2 later. But yeah, Capel recruited me, and then Shire took over. But Trey and Cam had already committed, and then we just made a group chat with all 4 of us, and then I committed after, and then Zion came next. So it happened real smooth. We all knew, we knew from day one once we formed that group chat, man, we were so cool with each other, just made sense.
JJ and I were talking about this before you got on. Winning a national championship or just winning, in the tournament with a bunch of freshmen, it doesn't happen very much. What were some of the challenges you guys realized with obviously an insane amount of talent, but just, getting to the point where you guys can win consistently big games, especially in a one and done format?
Yeah, what helped was we were able to go play in the summer. So because we had that year where we got to go on that foreign trip, we went to Canada and played some games, those extra practices and those game scenarios kind of helped. So I was able to play with Zion and okay, figure out, all right, I had 30, but he had 30. Okay, so this can work. How can we play off of each other instead of competing? And none of us had that personality though, to where we were all competing. I remember going to practice talking trash, getting in Zion's face, we be talking yo, I know you can't guard me. He'd be saying the same thing. So we went at each other, but it worked, so that was something that I always be thankful for, just be able to not have egos and just go out there and play.
I was in college. Dwight Howard was, I think, his class was 2 years behind mine. And there were rumors that we were recruiting him. And then obviously he went to the NBA straight out of high school. And I watched him his rookie year. And I thought to myself, Jesus, if this fucking guy had played in Cameron Indoor Stadium, the shit we would have seen and the reactions from the Cameron Crazies would have been wild. Zion was that, like maybe more than that. A young athletic Dwight, like Zion's moments, the 360 dunk, the block shots. Is there a moment that sticks out in his freshman year?
There's a lot. We'll see which one he chooses.
Man, which one? He's a freak, man. And then like some of the stuff you did in practice that no one ever saw is like, it is ridiculous. That 360 was a big moment. The moment for me was when we beat UNC in the semifinals of the ACC tournament. That was he had 31 that game, and he was dominant. You know, like that was kind of that whole game. Just the way he took over, that was kind of the moment that I remember.
Yeah. We should get into a little bit of your background because I find it to be fascinating. So I don't know how many countries you ended up living in, but your dad played professional basketball overseas. So you spent a lot of your early childhood, around basketball, but obviously living in different places. Are there any takeaways or influences that you've found as you've grown up and become an adult from that time period early before you guys moved back to Canada?
Yeah, so I remember being in places I remember were Italy and France. I remember those two. Those are the last two. And I lived in France for 4 years. So I was going to school there. I became fluent there in that. And people don't know, but I didn't start going to school in English until high school. I always went to school in French.
Damn, he didn't go to a high school that spoke English until he was in high school. And I wonder if that was Montverde Academy, where he went to play basketball in Florida. That's wild.
I loved it over there. It was nice. Culturally, it was great. It's just now when I'm in the league, being able to talk to different people, like I'm cool with Frank Ntilikina is one of my closest friends since I got to the league. Talk to him in French all the time, and now Evan Fournier's on the team. Get to talk to him in French and stuff. So just memories like that are cool, and just seeing how my dad was a pro every day, going to the games, seeing him eat like these big bowls of pasta before the game, like getting ready. So like all those things like kind of helped me and like grew my love for the game.
When did you really sort of start working with Steve, on a basketball level and then also just on a personal level?
Mm-hmm. He's been there my whole life. So he just like, ever since I was young, I remember like playing one-on-one with him when I was younger. I remember playing one-on-one with him when I was 14. And I'm thinking, man, I'm taller than you now. I'm going to go at you. Like, nah, he's crafty, man. That dude's really nice. Oh man, we text all the time. He always giving me pointers, so that's a great relationship for me to have.
How fluent is your French still? Is it pretty fluent?
Ouais, je parle français vraiment bien.
I just know how to say j'aime beaucoup jouer le basket.
Wait, first off, I wonder if he still talks to Steve Nash consistently, his godfather. If you did not know Steve Nash is his godfather, I wonder if they talk as much. Probably not, because he's the coach of the Brooklyn Nets and he's trying to scheme things up to stop him now on defense, which is just crazy. Just trying to stop your godson on the court. But yeah, I wonder if he still gives them pointers like that. I know he said he does, but I wonder if it's as much consistently.
How fluent is your French still? Is it pretty fluent?
Ouais, je parle français vraiment bien.
I just know how to say j'aime beaucoup jouer le basket. J'aime beaucoup jouer le basket.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Love that. I took 2 years of French in high school. I wasn't as immersed as you, so the retainment isn't there. The retainment isn't there.
That was good though.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Before we move on from Duke, I do want to ask about Coach specifically, and obviously he just retired. Do you have a lasting memory of him, a lasting moment of him, or just some sort of perspective on the influence that he had on you during that year you were together?
Yeah, man. Like, there's one story I love to tell anybody who listens. I had like a game where I was 8 for 30. I think when we played Syracuse, train went down. I was 8 for 30, and I started to.
All right, 8 for 30 is fucking terrible. Like, that is so bad. But RJ's has always been that way. It's a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously, you have to recognize when to get others involved when you're struggling. But he does not care. Like, if he's going to continue to freaking shoot. That's the one thing you just can't knock. His confidence. He shot 30 shots, only made 8 of them. He kept shooting. He did not care. Like, he just kept shooting. That's wild.
Yeah, triple-double. I was 8 for 30. Coach, I started to hesitate at the end of the game. Coach, like, came up to me the next day. He's like, "What's wrong with you, man?" I said, "So what? What did I do?" He's like, why were you hesitating? Why you stop shooting? I said, "Coach, I shot 30 times, Coach. Like, what do you want?" Like, he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You should have shot 40 times." He's like, "Don't hesitate." He's like, "If you open, shoot the ball. I want you to shoot the ball every time." I said, "All right, bet." Like, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, how it's tough when a coach like that just builds your confidence up so much. Like, you make you feel like invincible.
That's a good way to put it. And you briefly touched on this in talking about the similarity between him and Tibbs, but I always felt like with Coach, like for the best players, and obviously the role players had a tougher time at times, but the best players on the team, the empowerment was always there.
Yeah.
And similar story, but we were 27-1 my senior year. We had 2 regular season games left, and we went to Florida State. It was a Tuesday or Wednesday game, and then we had Carolina at home last regular season game. And it was a hard-fought game. We ended up losing the game, and I was 10 for 28 from the field.
Mm-hmm.
Had 30 points, but 10 for 28 from the field. Not a great shooting night.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach, I think, could sense a little, animosity or jealousy, whatever it was, about, 28 shots, 30 shots, like you mentioned. That's a lot in college.
It's a lot of shots.
That's a lot of Jackson college.
A lot of shots.
And we had a team meeting the next day, and he brought all the guys that played into his office, like, the 5 or 6 of us, and he's just like, "Does anyone have a problem with JJ shooting 28 times? Does anyone have a problem?" And everybody's like, "No, I don't." He's like, "All right, get out of my office." Like, that was it. He nipped it in the bud right there. And for me, I didn't need him to do that. I was probably going to shoot, whatever, 28 times the next game if I had the chance to do it. But I that's what I loved about him, was like that empowerment. Like, he was going to let me be the best version of myself. And I love that.
Especially you, man. Especially you. Like, you were that guy. Like, I remember, like,
a lot of play calls for me.
Yeah, you were that guy, man. I remember, like, being there, and I would, like, because I would look up the records and, like, see. I was like, okay, so I said, all right, so.
Yo, I appreciate that. Spectaz says, "I'm in New York watching the stream." Well, I appreciate you tuning in, my man. Pool Cracks in the chat. He says, "We love JJ Redick and RJ too, I guess."
So JJ scored 1,000 points this season. All right, I'm gonna try to go get that. Like, so I was trying to catch your record, man, the whole year. I think I had like 860 or something like that. I was trying to catch that. Your single season record.
I don't think it was quite 1,000. I think it was somewhere in the 964, maybe somewhere like that. I was close. The ACC record, I want to say, was Dennis Scott, if I'm not mistaken. He had a little bit more than me, but yeah. Some of those records, like the all-time scoring record, all you motherfuckers leave after 1 year now. That's just never going to be broken. That's never going to be broken. Unless the NIL stuff is going to pay somebody $10 million a year. Nobody stayed in school for 4 years anymore.
Yeah.
With Shire, you were around him. I've known John for roughly 17 years now, because I was, his basically handler, his host every time he would come visit. He used to stay with me every time he would come visit Duke when he was in high school. What do you think he will bring that's maybe different?
If you didn't know, Shire's their brand new head coach because Coach K is retiring.
And coach.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think just what he'll bring is a level of kind of understanding of just more how the game is going now, especially with like we have the NIL, we have all these things. So like the way college is going, it's like you might not get all the talent. You might not. It's gonna like start being different, and I think he's just gonna make do with whatever is coming. Like this incoming class, my young boy that I actually went to high school with my senior year, Redick Whitehead. He's like number 4 in the country or whatever. So he's going there now. Like I think he's just gonna bring just a different energy, a different vibe, but still kind of go with the same. Because he's being groomed for this. Like Shire runs all the practices. He does all the film. Like Shire's been, the guy for some years, so he's been groomed, and I know he's ready.
Okay, how was your draft night? What was your drafting experience like?
Oh, it was lit. Man, my emotions were all over the place. Like I think I was really happy to go to the Knicks for sure. My late grandfather, he told me like when I was really young, he always told me like, watch, one day you're gonna play for the Knicks. Watch. That's why I have like Knicks hat like when I was like younger, like just wearing and stuff like that. So it was cool, man. It was cool. I was fine. I remember like they did an interview. My dad came over, and then when my dad came over, I started crying because like we work our butt off for this, bro. Like we work hard every day for this stuff. So to see it come true right there was cool, man.
Did you know before draft night that it was, obviously you never know what's going to happen, but that it was a pretty good chance that it was going to happen?
It was a pretty good chance, especially because I knew John and I were going 1 and 2. And, I mean, it would have looked crazy if it went any other way because I didn't work out for anybody else. So they kind of had to pick me, I felt.
I have a question about draft night, and I've watched most drafts prior to me getting drafted, after my draft. I haven't watched everyone, but I've watched most drafts. And your draft class specifically was the first time that I really remember emotion being on display. Like a lot of you guys, and maybe it was because they interviewed you guys with your parents. And it's you're going through the emotion, but I was so struck by the openness and willingness of your draft class to just be raw in that moment. So many of you guys cried. Like I thought that was one of the coolest things that I've watched on live television.
Yeah, no, you hit it right there on the head, man. Like I remember I was good. Like I walked across the stage, I got the hat, I shook Adam Silver's hand. I was good, man. Like
he almost said Adam Sandler. We ain't gonna ignore that.
Yeah, I shook Adam Silver's hand. I was good, man. Like I was good, and then I started doing the interview. I was fine. As soon as my dad walked over there, bro, like they asked him one question. As soon as he walked over there, all the emotions just came. Like, because man, my dad used to like wake me up in the morning before school, like around like 11, 12, wake me up, take me to the gym before school, like just drive me all over the place, like, just doing all these things for me. So when I saw him come over there, I was like, yo, it's been a long time coming, man. So yeah.
I think part of this, and you brought up the sacrifices that your dad made. I mean, I'm one of 5 kids, and we all played sports. My parents would drive all over the country, and they had a little color-coded calendar for who was going to attend whose games. So there's sacrifices that are made. The other part of this, because I thought about this on that night, is your parents are often the first people that you ever share your dreams with. For me, my parents were the first people I ever said, I'm going to go play at Duke. And that was, So that was important that they got to be part of that experience. And of course, making the NBA, I'm sure we've all shared that with our parents. So I think that's so much part of it is like appreciating their role in your journey. And there's certain parents that are probably more hands-on or whatever, but that notion of sharing a dream and then having it become true and then getting to share that moment with them, that's overwhelming. Whether you're 19 or 38, I don't care, what it is. That's such an
There's a bad echo. I don't hear an echo. Wait, let me know in the chat if you hear an echo. I don't hear one. Let me know in the chat. I'm frozen. There's an echo? Wait, so if I play it right now, there's an echo.
overwhelming thing.
Yeah, man, that's right, bro. Your parents like this. Man, I didn't know you were one of five. That's dope.
Yeah.
Wait, let me know in the chat. Is there an echo now? Is the echo still there? No echo? All right, then we rolling. What's going on, the new Knicks? How you doing, man? I apologize if there was an echo. Hopefully we're all good now. Yeah, let's go. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. We good? All right.
Yeah, we all played D1 sports too. We all played.
Wow.
My parents didn't pay for college. We all got full scholarships.
Rewind.
Yeah, man, that's right, bro. Your parents like this. Man, I didn't know you were one of five. That's dope. That's
Yeah,
dope.
we all played D1 sports too. We all played.
Wow.
My parents didn't pay for college. We all got full scholarships. Pretty wild,
Big
actually.
time, fam. Big time,
Yeah,
fam.
it's all right. It's all right.
JJ also claims that he would have been a professional baseball player with no evidence. He was
RJ, I would have. I
He was really good.
I wouldn't have gone to college because I would have been a first-round pick out of high school.
with no evidence.
Dion, hand it over. Now, how does that make you feel?
Like a part of me.
But
Probably
no
would've just
evidence.
gone.
This man making a lot of bread off this video. That's all I'm gonna say. This man making a lot of bread. What is that, like the fourth ad? Hey, I respect it. Gotta make your money. Gotta make your money. He don't play ball no more.
But
Straight.
just so you know, he'll bring it up to you eventually. I hasn't said.
Okay.
RJ, I had a question about draft night. Obviously, you knew with Zion, for a while how special he is and how special he was then. When did you know with Ja? Because I do feel like a lot of people knew he was going to go in the top 2 or 3, but I don't think the casual fan necessarily watched him play in college very much. And so they all know now, but when did you know?
Well, I mean, first, like, I saw his highlights at first, and like, I wasn't sold at first when I saw him at the beginning of the year because I'm like, I didn't watch the games enough, and also, I was competitive. But like when I saw him take that team to March Madness, and then when he had a triple double in March Madness, I was like, okay, he's real. Like, he's real. But in terms of going number 2, I feel like just with that what it is, what that team needs at the time. Like, they got Mike Conley out, and it was like, okay, they literally had the whole franchise built around Mike Conley. So all they did was move Mike and just bring in Ja. And I think that's a huge part of the success right now. But once I saw that triple double, I was like, okay, yeah, he's real.
On that point, RJ, because you mentioned watching his highlights, knowing where he was positioned in the mock drafts and being competitive. And like everybody, if you're a top pick, you want to go number 1 or number 2, whatever it is.
Sure.
Is it hard for you, because it's human nature, is it hard for you not to get caught up in comparing your trajectory and your journey and your timeline as an NBA player with Zion and Ja?
Twitter's gonna fucking love this. Twitter, because that's all Knicks fans love to do on Twitter. Compare RJ to every young player. Garland, Harrow, Jordan Poole, just freaking everyone. That's all Knicks fans love to do on Twitter. I swear. So they're gonna freaking love this.
Because you were the guy drafted right after them.
Yeah, sometimes like one of my assistant coaches on the Knicks, he always tells me, he's like, man, everybody's journey is different. He's like, some guys they got it right away, and other guys it takes them 4 or 5, 6 years to get to that goal, get to where they want to be, the type of player they want to be. And in terms of comparing, I don't really. I think teams and where you go and how the team is set up and how it is, all those things matter. Like Zion's also just a freak. He'd go anywhere and just like that guy, man. Because he's a guy that doesn't need plays. So that's just his body and what he does. Like he's going to be successful anywhere. And like I said, Ja was kind of placed into that situation where, of course, he had to do it, but the organization was kind of already set up in that way already. So me, I'm just trying to do my thing, just trying to figure it out. Ended up having a pretty good year, so just trying to continue to be the best version of myself every day.
Everyone has their own horror story with free trial subscription.
Don't care, JJ. I'm sorry. How long is this ad? God damn. Sponsor, man. Gotta get that bread. Oh, of course. When you play in New York, there's always gonna be criticism that comes and critiquing.
1. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations. Where do you think that growth is? That next step, that next level for you when you self-evaluate or when you talk to your coaches or your agent?
This is a great question. Let's hear that again.
Situations. Where do you think that growth is? That next step, that next level for you when you self-evaluate or when you talk to your coaches or your agents or your family? Where do you see that growth needed?
I think right now I'm trying to work on what I saw in this year was just really my pull-ups and having a consistent jumper. That like, if I get to the rim so much, I feel like I get to the rim at any time. If I can mix in those pull-ups and like if they go under, if I can consistently make that three going under, like now being a complete 3-level scorer, that's hard to stop. You're gonna score at any point, and my kind of next step for me is, I want to be the leader. I've always said I want to be the leader on the team, and I want to help any way I can and get the team back to the playoffs, because winning is what's most important. And next year, like my goal, I feel like I can be an all-star. Be an all-star or be in the conversation, which is obviously going to come with winning, but like I have the ability to. I've always have. So
we were talking before you got on about the mid-range with DeMar and how he's crafted and how he's perfected it. Are there guys around the league that you like enjoy watching, now or when you were in college, like when you were coming up?
Man, DeMar is big time for me. One, I've been watching DeMar basically half of my life because he played for the Raptors, and just see how he came from just being athletic and dunking all the time to now, like when I was guarding him, some of his footwork, I'm like, bro, what am I supposed to do right now? So I remember I asked him mid-game, I'm like, bro, I said, can I work out with you this summer? Like, like real talk, just because what he's doing, man, like.
I like that. He's willing to do whatever to make himself better as a basketball player. Because footwork's a huge thing. Some of the best players in the league just have the most beautiful footwork. Luka's not crazy athletic. Obviously, we know the pace he plays at is insane, but Luka has some of the best footwork. That's why he doesn't have to. It's okay that he's not the best of athlete because he's so smart and his footwork is attention to detail is insane.
Right now, so I remember I asked him mid-game. I'm like, bro, I said, can I work out with you this summer? Like, like real talk, just because what he's doing, man. Like, I feel like if I can add like some of those mid-range to my game, just some of that footwork, like it's unstoppable.
I was going to ask about. We were talking before we started recording about you. You work out with Drew Hanlon in the summer, and so you work out with Jason sometimes. He's another one. He's another one. Obviously, we're seeing it in the playoffs right now, but he's another one that you see feels like he keeps taking that jump every year. What do you have that perspective, seeing him all the time over the summer. What do you think about like what does the casual fan not know about his game, and how he crafts it?
I think casual fan doesn't know his confidence. Like, so in the summer, I would work out, and then Jason would work out after, or Brad Beal would work out after. And like I remember one from Brad Beal, he doesn't leave the gym without like making 10 in a row, like deep threes. Like that was something that I took from that. So no matter how the workout went, he's always leaving on that note. And Jason's workouts, like everything he does in the game, that's literally just his work. He's so confident, like he'll be going through something and then he'll just like stop and be like, yo, I'm nice. Like I'm really good at this. I really do this. Like he'll be talking to the whole gym. So I was like, okay, like that. And then he'll just like stop and be like, yo, I'm nice. Like I'm really good at this. I really do this. Like he'll be talking to the whole gym. So I was like, okay, like that. I mess with that. Like I like that. Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, RJ, we can wrap up here. We appreciate your time. I just had one last question. Are you going to sign an extension this offseason? That's amazing. All right, RJ, we can wrap up here. We appreciate your time. I just had one last question. Are you going to sign an extension this offseason?
I hope so.
We all hope so.
Nick in about like I'll be the first Nick in like 20 years. So I hope so for sure.
Make it happen. Make it happen. RJ, we appreciate it.
I love that he threw that in at the end. Yo, that's funny as hell. That's funny as hell. Oh. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate y'all tuning in. You guys are amazing. Went live for like exactly an hour. That's wild. But yeah, I really appreciate your support. Smash the like button, click that subscribe button. Hope you guys staying safe. I got somewhere to go in like about 30 minutes. And yeah. I hope you guys have a great one. All right. Peace out.